Welcome to Best of Reddit. Be sure to subscribe as we upload new content daily. Welcome back to Best of Reddit. Today I have a few ProRevenge stories for our subscribers. This first story of revenge is titled, "Lay off a third of the team and expect us to work harder." We will see about that. Let's get straight into it. So this happened sometime in the 2010s somewhere in the UK, that's all I'm revealing. I worked for a medium-sized PLC in a small team that worked with the sales department getting quotes. I had previously worked in another team in a different department in the same company as well. This also includes elements of malicious compliance. I'll post this there as well. So to set the scene, the company had recently had some issues with regulators and senior management were either oblivious to the damage they were doing or didn't care. They were trying to save costs but going about it all the wrong way. So my team consists of 6 team members and a manager. We were fairly busy and often helped out on other teams as well, and they would in turn help us. This is important for later. So we are all called into a meeting without warning and told that due to declining work tickets they were laying 2 of us off. They did say 2 people were safe, the manager and his sidekick. They made us reapply for our jobs, including doing a test following the letter of the law on redundancy, which had nothing to do with our roles. It also became apparent during the process that the company flat out lied or at the very minimum manipulated the data used to come up with their conclusion of falling ticket numbers. They dropped by 13 from year 1 to year 3, bear in mind it was a total of several thousand tickets a year. In the end the company carried on and 2 team members were removed and made redundant, one of whom took a golden handshake, the other sued the company for various things not really worthy of mention here and won. After the dust settled it also became apparent manager secured his sidekick's position despite him being the worst member of the team in terms of work done and work quality. So in the weeks after the entire team were too busy to help other teams who then stopped helping us, so a huge backlog of tickets also built up. We also got threatened with disciplinary proceedings if our backlog didn't come down. But was also refused any overtime. During the process we had also been admonished for skipping steps in getting quotes, steps that often took a significant amount of time, and served no purpose, so me and 2 others remaining, not including sidekick who had his nose so far up manager's rear end it came out of his mouth, decided to do everything by the book, down to every last bullet point. This made the backlog of work even worse, but they couldn't say anything. One week we had another meeting with HR, the sales director and our manager to discuss the issues. We all calmly said, "We are sorry but we have to follow the guidelines and rules laid down and this is as fast as we can work." We were also asked to start helping out the other teams again as we should be team players. Again we said, "We are sorry but we can't, our workload is too high and it's also not in our contracts that we have to do other teams' work." This went on for several months and management still refused to believe we were overworked. When it was time for holidays we realized they hadn't changed the amount of people allowed off from 3. So we all booked holidays, they both went abroad and I decided to visit family the other end of the UK. Of course when manager realized, a week before, he went nuts and another meeting with HR was called. We all calmly said, "Sorry but we checked the rules for our team and 3 people out of 4, manager could do what he likes, can be off at any one time." And again stood our ground and all went on leave for 2 weeks each. This caused even more chaos at work as you can imagine. The sales director after this hatched a plan to get the Indian teams, we had offices in India and other offshore places, to be trained up by us and to help us. However they demanded we fly out to spend weeks there training them. Again we all refused as it's not in our contracts to be trainers or to have to work abroad. They ignored the fact I didn't have a passport at this point. So poor old manager and his sidekick traveled out and trained them for weeks. Eventually both stayed for over 2 months and failed to train them. We would send low-effort tickets to them and they would screw it up and we simply said, "Sorry, to fix this we need to do it again." So after 6 months they gave that idea up entirely. Well, after around a year or so of this, I'm being deliberately vague on timing so please don't ask about it, we all decided to all seek other employment, having found we all could not trust the company or manager anymore. And we all found roles elsewhere within a week of each other, so all handed our 4-week notices, again to the letter of our employment contracts, and were due to all leave on the same day. Now the female member of the team who was a very learned person and she revealed in all our contracts any documentation we create is ours and we can do with it how we wish when we leave. So we hatch a plan. In the final week we are there, we move all our digital stuff to one location. Including all my manuals and cheat sheets for my previous team. They both did the same with their previous positions within the company. On our final day, we bring in our own external drives and with IT's help download and removed all documentation and deleted the copies on the company systems. We all said our goodbyes and at the end of the day quite happily told our manager what we had done. He exploded and demanded it back and we calmly tell him not according to the letter of our contracts this, waving the drives at him, is ours and we choose to remove it with us. We were later told by friends who remained that the sales director had a fit because now no one was doing quotes for him. Gladly we all have had great new places and keep in touch. Coming up next I have a shorter revenge story titled, Steal My Medication I Make You Seriously Regret It. So when I was 15 I was diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. Now despite what TV shows and movie portray it, not all schizophrenia are serial killers. If you can keep your medication in balance you can live a perfect normal life. From the age of 15 to 20 was rather hard as we tried to form the right balance of medication for me. But it has been 11 years since I was first diagnosed and has been 6 years since I have any really bad symptoms. There has been a few minor issues when my meds would go out of balance. But nothing too extreme. Anyway, this happened 3 years ago. I had just moved into a new apartment with 2 new roommates. We will call them Zach and Rachel. Yes, those are their real name, cause screw them. Anyways, due to my illness I take multiple medication. An antipsychotic, antidepressants and an anti-anxiety medication to name a few. These are all rather strong medications. So when I moved in and got settled I started noticing some of my meds start going missing. I have my pills counted out and ready. So I know exactly how many I have. I immediately suspect my roommates as they were the only one with access to my room. I also knew for a fact they took other medications to get high. They were pretty open about it. But I had no proof. And didn't want to risk peeving them off as I had to live with them. So I looked past it hoping it was a one-time thing. But it wasn't. After a few days of this I lost it and confronted them. They denied it and of course I had no proof. I even got a lock for my room. But somehow they still managed to get in. So here's where the revenge starts. So due to all my medication I get constipated a lot. So I have a very strong laxative I take when this happens. They are tiny pinkish pills. If you don't know about medication you could easily mistake these for something else. One morning before heading to work I took my antipsychotic pill bottles and switched out the pills for my laxatives. And then I left. When I came home that evening, both my roommates were in the washrooms. I asked Rachel what was wrong. She made up some bullcrap food poisoning excuse. They spent the whole night in and out of the bathrooms. My medication stopped disappearing after that night. If you enjoyed listening to one or both of these ProRevenge stories today, please drop a like or comment below. Links to the original Reddit posts are in the description, and as always be sure to subscribe as we post new content daily.